Hello and thank you for joining me today for day 25 of Creep on June, hosted by Tracie Fox. If you're catching me for the first time, welcome. Thank you for popping along, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for all of your continued support. Now, if this is the first one of my Creep on June videos you're watching, this is an ongoing story, so please do check out my other videos in the series, and I will link my playlist in this video description. So day 25. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. Now I do not need to tell you that those are the opening lines to The Raven. So let's get on with today's chapter of the story. After all he discovered yesterday and all that he's seen and heard since arriving, Edgar thinks maybe he'll take a walk into the village today, visit some of the shops and the pub and ask the locals what they know about the history of the place. He catches Alice on the landing as he's leaving and she asks what he's up to today. He tells her and she says to tread very carefully because people are very superstitious here. If there is a whiff of an idea that he's been getting involved in curses and digging things up, they will run him out of town without a moment's hesitation, no matter how friendly they were before. Bringing medieval curses out of the forest and into the village is something the villagers are very strongly against. Edgar thanks her for the advice and says he will be careful what he asks. He has a few shillings in his pocket and thinks he can maybe make some purchases to butter up the locals into sharing some of their wisdom. He starts at the bakery. He recognises the man who works there as a man he met called Jack from the pub when he was with Richard. "How do you do, Jack?" Edgar said as he entered. "Oh, Edgar, dear lad, I'm very well, thank you. And how do you do?" "I'm well, thank you, Jack. I was hoping for one of those delicious pork pies you supplied for Mary's funeral, if you have any, please." Jack is delighted at the compliment and asks if he'd like it warmed up. Edgar said he would, please. He hopes this will give him time to have a little chat with Jack. And while he puts it in the oven, he asks Edgar how his visit has been. Edgar says it's been very enjoyable and most recently very enlightening. He doesn't say that he's found the tomb, but he does say he's found the medieval book in the bookcase in his room and was reading all about the legends of this area. He asks Jack what he thinks of all that. Jack comes in a little closer to Edgar and says in hushed tones, "You need to be careful what you're looking up about this area. I presume you're talking about the curse on the Hayward family. When I was a young lad, I used to ask my grandfather to tell me about the olden days, and he said that his grandfather once found the tomb in the woods when he was out chasing birds looking for a nest, and since the only way you can find the tomb is if you're looking for something else, he stumbled upon it. He read out loud the curse inscription on the tomb and then strange things started happening." "Like what?" Edgar asked. "Well, it was the height of summer at the time and it was very hot, but after he arrived back home he was ice cold. Couldn't get warm no matter how much his mother sat him by the fire and bathed him in hot water. In fact, she would sit him in the tub and the water went cold almost immediately." "That's incredible," replied Edgar incredulously. "You fancy me a madman, don't you?" Jack asked. "Absolutely not," replied Edgar. "A madman knows nothing." "Your pork pie is heated now. I hope you enjoy it and the rest of your stay, but don't go rooting around in those woods. It won't end well." Edgar thanks Jack and goes on his way. Next, Edgar goes to the butcher's shop. He thinks maybe he could buy Alice and Richard some nice sausages for their supper. Let him treat them for a change. "4 of those sausages, please, butcher," Edgar asks as he goes inside. "Oh, you're that American fellow, friends with Alice and Richard." "Yes, Edgar. Pleasure to make your acquaintance." "Hello there, Edgar. My name is Harold. I will just wrap up these sausages for you. Are you staying for long?" "Thank you. Just a few more days, although I've had a wonderful time here. I was reading an interesting book yesterday," and goes on to spin the same line he did with the baker. "Oh, you don't want to believe all that old codswallop," Harold says. "People saying they had dreams of drowning in dry soil after visiting the tomb. If you ask me, I don't think there even is a tomb. Just nonsense to stop the local children from getting lost in the woods." Edgar chuckles and says, yes, you're probably right. Well, it's an enchanting story nonetheless. As a writer myself, I do like to get pulled in by strange and mystical stories. Have a good day, Harold. Pleased to meet you. And to you, Edgar. As Edgar leaves, he notices Harold locks the door behind him and closes the curtains on the window. How very strange, Edgar thinks. Then he hears what sounds like a howl from inside. Harold must have a dog. Finally, Edgar heads into the pub. Richard is there, as is a few others he recognises from the other day. Edgar buys them all a drink and gives Richard the sausages, says it's for him to cook up for his and Alice's supper. Richard is overjoyed. He would love to cook for Alice. She's been doing so much for Richard since Mary left him for the other side. It would be nice for him to do something for her for a change. Edgar says he got them from Harold the butcher. Richard says, those are the best sausages in the land. Harold really knows his meat. And says he should be coming down here soon after the shop closes. Edgar says he's already shut up shop, closed the curtains and everything. Richard says that's odd. Harold is usually open for another half hour yet and likes to leave the curtains open when he closes so people can see what's on offer for the next day. Maybe he's not feeling very well, says Edgar. Or maybe he had to see to his dog. Richard said he doesn't have a dog. As they get chatting, there are a few of them involved in the conversation. Edgar has bought a round of drinks, so they're all keen to have a chat. Edgar broaches the subject of the Haywoods again. One man, an older gentleman, goes a very strange colour and has to sit down. Oh, I'm so sorry. Is everything okay? Edgar says. Oh, yes, says Richard. Peter thinks he saw the tomb once when he was 15, and he caught a reflection of himself a few days afterwards and swears his eyes were black, and then found a raven feather on his pillow the next morning. A load of old rubbish. He had just had a few too many ales. Peter sat up and said, it was not the ale, it was the curse. Do not bring that curse back to the village, Edgar. Whatever you do, do not bring it here. And with that, Peter stood up and left. Edgar changed the subject after that, and another drink or two afterwards he took his leave. On his way home, he started to have a think about what was next for him here. I've had a very strange few days, he thinks, and is starting to feel like perhaps he's digging up more than this village can cope with. Who knows what he's brought back from the castle and the woods with him. Perhaps it's time to start thinking about making my way home. He arrives home and sees Alice as she's on her way out. She asks how his research went. He explained all the stories he'd heard, and she said he better not ask any more questions. It sounds like he might ruffle some feathers, so to speak. Edgar told her to get herself off home because her father has a surprise for her. Alice looks confused and sets off home. When he arrives to his room, he goes through his things until he finds what he's looking for. Aha, he says, and has dug out a ship timetable he picked up when he docked. The next ship leaves in 5 days. That's that then. 5 more days and then I'll be back on the ship for the short 6 weeks home. He'll be sad to leave, but he knows it's time. Jupiter arrives and they have their supper. Edgar is tired from all the talking and socialising today, so he tries to write some more of the Raven poem, but is feeling extremely weak and weary, and all he can do is ponder over the curious volumes of forgotten lore that he has happened upon while he's been here. He soon drops off, somewhere around midnight. Now, Edgar's head is absolutely scrambled, and so that is what I've tried to convey on the front of this double tag that I made into a pocket, which I'll talk through in a second. But also, I just wanted to show you for today. I created a Poe-themed, Raven-themed little booklet thing for Petey Pie Designs Creepy 13 challenge that Laurie hosts on the 13th day of every month. So I thought for today I could incorporate that make into today's page, so I'd have somewhere to put it, and perhaps this is Edgar's notes for writing all of the Ravens. So I've got a video on this in its entirety, but it's just a little booklet that I made out of an envelope. It's got some note pages in there, and then it's just got some Raven quotes, and then a couple of tags that go in there too. So I just thought this would be a good place to put it in this page here. So we've got so there's like 3 tags in a row, so I cut out 2 of them together and made that into the pocket, and then it kind of comes over the page. and then the other tag I made into a tag. So let's start at the top and work our way backwards. So it's quite busy. So I've got the quote here. Can you see okay? Yep. Got the quote here. I've got the number 25, and then just like darkness with candles and books. So that's like the volume of Forgotten Lore. I've also got this, which I actually took it off of Instagram recently. It's Crow Lore, Small Science, Rituals and Magic. And it's this little booklet that I made out of screenshots that I took basically. And it goes all through different like mythologies and things for crows, and I thought maybe he might have come across that in his research. Use a feather as a bookmark. Find a crow's feather and tuck it into a book you haven't finished. It marks a page not yet written in your life. When you return to it, look for what has changed in you. So it's just lots of things about crows. So I thought he probably did some notes on that. And then, yeah, so this is kind of a bit of a confusion. He's baffled. He doesn't really know what's happening here. There's some black eyes there because of the boy that woke up with black eyes. There's a random jar with some strange skeleton of a creature in it. There's this root thing that looks a bit like a potato and a bit like a frog with some leaves growing out of it. Got the raven feather here that was on the boy's pillow. Just a random bit of castle over here, and then I had some transparency pictures left, so I've put this on top so you can see through it. And that's just the curtains again, the lights and all of the books. And we've got Let the Heart Be Still a Moment and Let This Mystery Explore. And then we've just got some of the book page here. And then in the background I just did some brickwork. And then this is the point. You fancy me a madmen know nothing. So that's like what the baker said, or what the baker and Edgar said together, but it is an Edgar Allan Poe quote, and these again are Release the Craft in words. And then here we've just got him checking out his return timetable. So we've got some map here. We've got Britain to America, that's where he's going. It's going to take 6 weeks. We've got the timetable here, we've got his ticket here, and then just some blueprints of a boat. And on the back, a bit of the raven words in the background, and some more transparency printed with the chair, the comfy chair, and some more books there. And that is it. So it's a little bit of a very busy page. There's a lot going on, but I quite like it. And I will be back again tomorrow with day 26. And please do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're not already. I would really appreciate that. And please do leave me a comment as well. So I really love to hear what you have to say and what you think of the story. And thank you again to all my new subscribers. I'm really, really grateful for everybody for being here. And I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.